Live, mate. So that we've just had the morning session of the Undercover Policing Inquiry, phase 3 of Tranche 1. David Barr has finished his opening statement now. There's a few bits in it. Well,
this is him. If you didn't watch it.
There was like 100 people watching, which is more than previous.
How many?
Got 100 people watching.
That's loads, yeah.
Yeah, I've just noticed that there's a sugar. Chris turned up with donuts earlier, and I've been scoffing donuts. Apologies for that. So yeah, what were your thoughts on the first section then, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the stuff he was saying I hadn't heard before. So trying to process it. That's the thing. If you're a nerd, like what it says one thing, and you go off on searching for that thing, and he said another 20 things by then. There's a few interesting things. For instance, that the MI5 directed the raid of the Workers' Revolutionary Party place back in the mid-70s, the White House. The White Meadow is also known as the Red House.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting that it seemed to say in the inquiry that the police done it, and then against the local police, I guess, local special branch done it against the order, against the thoughts of the Met, and then the kind of it, yeah, so I mean, I guess a bit puzzling. I mean, I suppose it speaks to the wider point that there doesn't seem to be anybody particularly responsible.
Very conveniently, yeah. I mean, I guess we'll hear more of that with Elizabeth Lester giving evidence on Friday. She was one of the Workers' Revolutionary Party who's recently been admitted as a CP.
Yeah, I don't know what Vanessa Redgrave recently made a Dane. Also a former member of the WRP has got to say about that. Probably not much these days.
I noticed you tried to tag her on Twitter, but I don't think she's
not on Twitter. No, I just said Vanessa.
Call out her name. But yeah, it was interesting to hear the bits from the closed hearing.
Well, yeah, that was surprisingly. I mean, I didn't know there was going to be any of that. So.
No, yeah, I wasn't expecting any of that. A few revelations on that in terms of how many of those officers had sexual relations as well, and how much they contradicted their evidence. I mean, just showed that they're bloody liars as well. What a surprise, you know. But yeah, I mean, there'll be more. A lot of it was quite hard to follow because there's just so much information kind of coming out. The full transcript will be published later today, along with the written version. There'll probably be loads of documents published today, and every fucking day of the inquiry. It's really irritating. As we're getting this oral evidence, we're also getting written evidence at the same time. Feast or famine, as usual. Yeah, anything else you want to really add about...
Yeah, it briefly mentioned that on spying on children.
Oh yeah.
So that was directed at least partially by MI5. Someone's just asking me about that on Twitter, actually. So we've been writing a report on the evidence published. That is the Undercover Research Group, and I took on doing the one on the spying on children. I expected it to be quite a short chapter. I was wrong on that. It's like 16 pages long, my draft. I'm sure that Evelyn and Donald would cut that down substantially. But I mean, the implication is that there was a lot of that going on, and it did seem in one particular officer's case, he seemed to be almost obsessed with spying on kids. But maybe it was actually at the direction of MI5 that, and that just feeds into that whole thing, is that the establishment seems to be petrified of youth, of stuff that's going on that they didn't know about because they're all middle-aged and white and live in Whitehall, and they don't really know what the fuck's going on. So I suppose it's the fear of the unknown that fed into, and obviously, pretty disgusting that happened.
Yeah, fucking gross, man. Quite frankly, fucking gross. I mean, like, it was quite telling, the sort of thing of like, do not approach the schools directly, but find a less embarrassing method in which to infiltrate these children's lives. Really, unpleasant. I mean, like, it's one of these things which, when we started off, we thought this was going to be a fairly minor thing, but it seems to have been quite huge, really. Grim.
Yeah, definitely an emergent theme. Yeah, it's not something
I mean, it goes alongside a lot of that sort of security service stuff, which at the beginning, though some people had some sort of idea that it might be bigger than we thought. It's much bigger. It seems they had much more direct and control, and much contact than we ever thought was the case.
Yeah, I mean, so we have this written witness statement by witness Z or Z, if you're from North America, I guess, from MI5.
Yeah.
I mean, but it now seems that is not really good enough, given how much their involvement was. Certainly in directing to get particular bits of information, like membership lists of various branches of the SWP, etc. So I think it does call for a live witness. And I'm not sure, is Stella Remington still alive?
I think so.
Because obviously she is known as obviously a former head of MI5, and in her autobiography, she actually talks about her time in the units that spied on sort of lefties, communists and stuff.
Right.
So obviously no secret that she'd done that activity. So if she is still alive, let's have a look. So, I mean, she could be called as a witness in an open hearing, couldn't she? Because it's totally documented. I mean, for most MI5 officers, their identity is still secret, even though it's so they've got that to hide behind. But in her case, and some other, I guess, heads of MI5, I guess they could be legitimately called.
Well, they've got a public profile, so absolutely.
I mean, Stella. I mean, she wrote a bunch of novels as well, didn't she?
Yeah, I to be honest with you, I didn't read any of that. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah, she's still alive.
Yeah.
So Stella, not looking forward to see you in Tranche 2.
Couple
years.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite surprised by that Witness Z document originally. I thought, they've gone out of their way to sort of like publish to write something. But then as it becomes clear that was just damage limitation, essentially, that coming out, really. And there's a hell of a lot more to be said. Whether we'll get that much more, it's hard to tell whether Mitting would call any of these people.
Yeah, I mean, MI5 are not in the remit.
No.
I mean, so in that sense, we were kind of surprised how much evidence there was from MI5. But I guess they couldn't resist putting some in when they realised how much contact, how much direction they provided, at least some of the time. I mean, one of the other things, my colleague Evelyn is producing the chapter on MI5, and it's a complex story mainly because it wasn't very consistent. The contact was on and off, and a lot of the time, they are continuously sort of reintroducing each other to what's going on, and there's like gaps in the meetings, etc. So I mean, I'm probably being optimistic, thinking they're going to see Stella Remington or anybody else on the but obviously,
I mean, we have to call for it. I mean, like a lot of these things, like it feels like, what's the point in pushing for this, that, the other? We're never going to get that from this chair, this inquiry. But you got to push for it, and we're surprised to get what we did get. I didn't think Creamer was going to get called.
Stella Remington's now a Dame, same as Vanessa Redgrave, which probably and Dame Stella probably spied on Dame.
Yeah, you would have thought so. I mean, and also, like given the love that the inquiry's got for any sort of title, I mean, does not increase the chances of getting called, because David Barr loves to interview a member of the House of Lords. Okay, so this afternoon, anything more on this morning?
Oh, there's probably loads.
There's fuckloads, definitely.
I mean, one of the things is that was it one of the closed officers, or that they actually admitted saying that they had sex with an activist as a tactic to enhance cover ID, and that's a first. That's been said for sure. I mean, it's pretty obvious that was the case, certainly in latter deployments, even if it hadn't already been established in earlier ones. So that's definitely significant. Yeah,
very much. I mean, like it's one of those things that we kind of, because it's so fucking obvious that they thought that was part of their role, we kind of forget they haven't fucking admitted to it much. But this is the first time it's been admitted to during the inquiry, which is saying it's good to hear is fucking horrible. It's not good.
Well, volume is low, apparently.
Volume is low. Well, I think it's probably to do with the fact that the microphone's miles away. We should have two microphones. We've got two microphones, but our ability to set up the tech is limited. As we got last time we had the hearings, we managed to get it back get it all sorted by the time we're like 2/3 of the way through. So hopefully this time we'll do the same.
Yes.
This is the problem. So that was there's plenty more to pour over from this morning, but my brain's a bit fried now, and we're going to have to go and get some lunch before we'll be back again at 2:00 with Peter Skelton, QC, Commissioner of Police for the Metropolis. So he's representing the Met, and then after him, Oliver Saunders, who I dislike. Well, I mean, not that I like Peter Skelton, to be perfectly honest. They're all a bunch of bastards, quite frankly. But we'll have more of that later. It should be interesting. If you are able to tune in, I recommend you do. If you're not able to tune in, please follow us on Twitter. We're using the hashtag Spycops Inquiry or just Spycops, depending. It's not very organised. Campaign opposing police surveillance are also live tweeting proceedings. They haven't done much this morning, but they will be doing it this afternoon.
They've just published all the documents, or at least some of the documents that they refer to this morning, and there's 56 of them, so if you've got some time on your hands. Yeah,
so if you've got the next 40 minutes before it starts up again, if you'd like to download and consume 56 PDFs, many of which are very poorly photocopied copies of damaged documents from the 1970s, then best of luck with that. Realistically, we're not going to get like a full picture of what's been released today for some time, because as days goes on, more and more information will appear. But there's some interesting bits that might be worth picking out on. Anything particular that jumps out to you?
Not yet. No, I'm literally just flicking through it. So yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah. Well, I was hoping that the special branch, as opposed to the SDS annual report, is going to be published, but I can't see it on there.
Yeah, it didn't. So yeah, that'll be interesting. That's the one which refers to the anarchist Black Cross as the most dangerous of anarchist groups, because they encourage people to take individual action. I mean, mostly.
Well, did they though?
No. I would argue that they're the most dangerous of anarchist groups because they encourage solidarity with those who've taken action against the state.
Yeah, I mean, anarchist Black Cross, for those who don't know, generally prisoner support and I suppose prison abolition. I mean, as far as I know, that branch was formed by Stuart Christie and Albert Meltzer, sort of late 60s, early 70s. As far as we know, they didn't actually have any undercovers directly in that milieu, and that's not to say they weren't reported on at all, but as far as I know, they didn't get anybody in there. So how they knew they thought they knew they were supposedly the most dangerous, in inverted commas, I don't know.
Well, maybe it's just the principle that's dangerous, eh? And let's hope, so more power to the anarchist Black Cross groups that still currently exist in Bristol, Brighton, and around the world. That's us. I think that's us for now. We'll see you. We'll do another one of these videos in the break this afternoon. We'll be back live tweeting from 2:00 onwards. We're going to go and eat something. Cheers.